Yeah, this is actually a new mic. So this is a Electro Voice. Oh, what is this? Like I forget what it is now. RE20. It's like a broadcast mic. My father-in-law used to be in radio for many years, and so he has gotten out of it and said, hey, go ahead and use the mic. So I'm just setting it up. This is the first time I'm using the mic, so we'll see how it goes. Thanks for letting me know that it's better now. What I was saying earlier, this is kind of an off-the-cuff Q&A session. I had stuck out a request to see if you guys were interested not too long ago, and there was a number of people that said, yeah, let's just do a live Q&A session. So we're just kind of doing this low-budget Q&A. Low budget doesn't mean clipping audio, though. We're here to talk about audio, so we want to get that right. But for reference, I'm running this Electro Voice microphone just through an audio box USB into my MacBook, and pretty bare bones setup in here. That's good. So again, if you're getting logged in, go ahead and shout out where you're from. We do have Henry from Canada in the room here. We'll let some other folks get logged in. I do know it was last minute, but the plan is to just go through some of the comments that have come in over the past week or so. I've got some good topics that'll come out of that. I do have X32 edit on another monitor that if we want to reference that, we can, talking through some of the different topics and ideas. And then at the end, if we've got questions that come in through the comments here, through the live questions, then we can cover a couple of those as well. All right, I'm going to make sure my stuff is set up over here. Ooh, Sao Paulo, Brazil. Excellent. I've been working with a guy in Mexico, actually. He's got a studio set up in Mexico, goes by the name of Bugs, and super nice guy. He's a fantastic drummer. Played with some really legit bands over the years and been helping him get his studio set up. So it's been fun to kind of interact. One of the things I do is love getting one-on-one time with you guys and kind of setting up those consulting sessions. And it gives me an opportunity to go across Zoom using X32 edit and really help people solve those problems, just really fast. Get some things handled. The videos are great, and the videos are kind of free resources, which have been quite impactful, it seems like, for a number of folks. But those one-on-one sessions a lot of times will help lock people, get their problem solved pretty quick. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and dive in. We're a couple minutes in. Other people are going to keep coming to the room. And if you're watching this on the replay, go ahead and add in the comments where you're from, where you're watching, and hopefully we've figured out the audio by now. All right, let's see if this will come up for us. I'm going to make sure that I'm looking at the right image here. I took some pictures along the way about what we were going to be looking at here, and I want to make sure I've got the right ones up. Let's see. All right. So at the top here, we've got the matrix set up here, and Christian right at the top there. Great tutorial. Now I'm able to mix two mics in an MS setup. So that's a mid-side setup. Copied the output of the side mic through a matrix, and in the matrix he changed the polarity. That's cool. So it was possible to bring the dry signal to the left, and the polarity changed the signal to the right. Now we can mix mid-side direct in the X32. That's cool. That's a real unique setup and use case, running mid-side. When I'm doing post-production, a lot of times I'll do mid-side compression and EQing. But running it live, that's a pretty cool use there. So not quite a question, but just a comment there. All right, down next below that, we've got Clint Beasley, Creative Tech. Shout out to Clint Beasley there. Oh, production looks great. Good sound, bro. Good sound, too. Yeah, that was kind of fun. Got to play auxiliary percussion at a concert at my kid's school. with my wife. She was playing marimba and some other stuff. It's obviously not related to X32 at all, but we got to walk through a little piece of the tech they were using, and that was a fun little gig. All right, let's look at this next one here. Toson's Electrical says, thanks, Alum. I've been trying this with Cakewalk, but only getting one channel through to the DAW. Please, what am I missing out? So he's looking at the multi-track, the X32 and M32 edit, how to multi-track. In that video, we're talking about how to use Tracks Live, but Tracks Live is not supported necessarily by a little whistle going on. Just FYI, yeah, I don't think I can change that. It might be in the room. I'm in a different room than normal. So Tracks Live is not supported anymore on newer versions of Mac, but I was typically running an older version of Mac until just about 2 weeks ago. And so Tracks Live worked great for me, and had plenty of other clients that were using it and just not updating their MacBook. But so you're trying to get Cakewalk. Typically what I'm looking at, if you've only got one channel coming through into the DAW, you want to go into the settings and over to card tab within the settings. And there you can select whether you're doing 2 in and 2 out, 8 in and 8 out, 16 in, 16 out, or 32 in, 32 out. And that gives an opportunity to adjust what's going out the card. You can, so if you're doing 2 in and 2 out, that's really just kind of a fancier version of the thumb drive that you've got at the top of the console, or on the USB thumb drive, regardless of the console you're running. So if you're doing 2 in and 2 out, that's my assumption. The other thing is, I've never used Cakewalk before, so you definitely want to go into first confirm on the board that you're at 32 in and 32 out. And then when you go into the console, or into the DAW, into Cakewalk, you want to make sure that you've got the routing set up properly so that it is capturing all of those, not just doing a stereo in. So you may have to delete what's there. I use Presonus Studio One as a DAW, and that is by default, it does have a stereo input and a stereo output, because that's what it does by default. I have to remove those and then map whatever I want. I add as many mono tracks as I want, and then I'm set up and good to go there. I just map them to the inputs that I want. And that's pretty standard. I've done some videos where I've used Ableton, and Ableton does something similar to that. But you definitely want to make sure that you've got the console set up for 32 in, 32 out. Obviously, make sure that your routing is correct on the card. Typically, you're going to have the card settings in routing and then card. You're going to have those map similar to routing and input. That way your inputs come in and they go right out to the card. But do check in your preferences or in the settings and mapping within the DAW of Cakewalk, and make sure that you've got everything mapped properly in there. I'll check the comments here real quick and just see. All right. Yeah, and what the plan is too, I know I'm going to jump into these questions here. Afterwards, later on in the session, we'll do kind of go through probably 30 minutes of questions, get some answers like we are right now. And then if you've got questions along the way, just write in the comment, write question and then your question. That way it'll stick out to me, and I'll scroll through on my iPad here in just a minute, and we can go through those questions over there. All right. Well, let's see if I've got another thing here. Just got to find my stuff, make sure that my image is mapped properly. We're going to go to this one here, and hopefully that shows up properly. All right. Here's the one I was really looking to show here. The third one down. Now it's got, if you look and see, there's a little pink kind of a cat looking icon in with this. And on the right hand side, it's the USB direct. It's just got a picture of the console right there in the middle. And the comment here says, hello, thanks for clear information video. How about volume control? Is it based on main volume, any separate volume to control? So what this video talks about, this is an old video that I put out early into 2020. This was early into pandemic life. Everybody was living life in the learning how to live stream and how to get audio out to the world across the internet. And in that video, it really just takes your main output and maps it across auxiliary outs into your USB card. That's a great solution for that time frame. It is the best and easiest quick way to get a live stream audio set up, but it's not ideal. And why do I say that? Well, most of us have people coming into the room, and we have people that are watching on the live stream. And so with the two of those, we've got to create two separate mixes. This is a huge thing that I do a lot of teaching on right now is, a lot of us have maybe a foyer. So the majority of people that subscribe to this channel and watch this channel are mixing in a church environment. And so a lot of churches will tend to have their in-house, their front of house mix, and they will have a live stream mix, and they might pipe audio out to TVs in their foyer or speakers in their foyer. Maybe they have a cry room. Maybe they've got an overflow room. Maybe it goes into their nursery. There's a lot of different kind of venues and setups within that space that they might be sending audio to. I'm a big proponent of two mixes. One for front of house that's dedicated and designed just for the front of house, and then a second mix that's going anywhere else. So that could be your live stream mix, and then you can just run that or kind of copy that digitally to other locations. So it's a big thing. And now with that, kind of coming back to this question here, do we have any volume control? In that video, you're just taking your main mix and you are duplicating that main mix right out to your stream. So is that ideal when you have people in the seats? No, it's not, but it is the quickest way to get audio out to a live stream. So we want to look at things like using a mix bus setup, which is what I use. I use a post fader mix bus. Maybe you decide to use a matrix out, which would be kind of the next kind of quickest way, I guess, to do it. You can you could copy your main left and right mix, send that out to a matrix, and then you have volume, EQ, and compression capabilities before it goes out to your live stream. But I'm anybody that I work with, if you see me in the comments, I'm always telling people I am personally using a post fader mix bus. That's just what I tend to use. And that really is the best way I have found to craft a mix. Now that's if I've got one sound engineer. That's the best way I've found to craft a mix, be able to utilize all of the inputs and the console, and kind of craft everything according to not just the house mix, but also the stream. All right, I'm going to take a pause here and look over at the comment section. All right, cool, collected. I see your comment or your question there about using a DAW to stream. We'll come back to that in just a couple minutes and see if we can answer that for you. At the bottom, Tanya Randall here did ask a question, says, do you travel to assist churches in the setup of the X32 board? I do, but within reason. I'm in Virginia. I'm located in Virginia, and so I have traveled down to the northern part of South Carolina, and I've gone up to Maryland. But I kind of don't stretch further than that because we can do so much right now across Zoom and just kind of virtually like we are right now. You can use Zoom and X32 Edit, and I can control X32 Edit and therefore your board. And honestly, what I really love is training people. So if you don't really build your scene, then if you have a problem on a day of an event, say it's a Sunday morning or any other time you run an event, if you didn't build your scene, man, it may be challenging to get that set up and really find out what you need to do to fix it. So if you're building your scene, if you're following through these videos and choosing a method, whether it's matrix or post fader mix bus, whatever your method is, if you're following through the video and you're making your own scene and building it from the ground up, then when you have a problem, you can really dive in and figure out what's going on and troubleshoot. That's the biggest thing we run into nowadays is just troubleshooting. My team, my church has between band and tech, we have about 42 people that serve. And the way we set up is we serve once a month. So that's 4 teams. It takes kind of 10 people per Sunday between band and tech to do cameras and pro presenter and all that stuff. So with serving once a month, it's a team of about 40 plus people. And within that, I've got to have people that are ready to troubleshoot because if you've seen, I've got an older video, we use a historic movie theater, which is built in 1928. The electrical system is not the greatest, and we set up and tear down every week. And so having that dynamic, just setting up is you got to run cables kind of every day. Now we've got a lot of things that are pre-wired. So we do have digital snake mounted, our in-ears are mounted. We do have some analog snakes that are routed around the stage and labeled. And so we plug into those, but there's a lot of still setup. Our speakers, our PA, all of our tech equipment, our projector, screen, everything gets set up and torn down every week. And so trying to have people prepared to troubleshoot is really, really a good thing to do. As you start to grow your team and you train new people and help bring new people into mixing or whatever the case is, if they're running lights or a camera or per presenter, whatever software you're using, whatever tools you're using, always start and keep growing people. Start raising up new leaders and training them. And so that's kind of what I designed to do with this channel too. I saw in the pandemic, a lot of people were selling templates, and those templates were not bad. And you might spend 70, 100, maybe 200. I don't know what all the costs were, but you would spend some money and buy a template for your X32 or your Personas console, whatever you had, and then you would load that scene, but then you had to make changes according to your input. So you had to know a little bit of things. But if that scene stopped working, or if you ran into an issue, you bought this scene, you didn't actually build it. And so I kind of designed the videos to be able to guide you through, give you a resource to help you build it. And then if you need to, you can go back through that resource. And like a lot of you guys have figured out, I'm always in the comments section. So if you ask questions, I'm available in the comments. I'm usually pretty responsive with my answers, and I try to keep up with everything going on because it's a service to you all. You guys are looking for answers and trying to learn. So I want to make sure that we're supporting you through all of that and through all the things that you're learning. All right. So before we go on, I'm going to jump over here to Cool Collected. He had a question in the comment section here in the live comments, and he says, do I need a DAW to stream? Is it better? So we got 2 different questions there. So Cool Collected. I'm just going to call you Cool. But do you need a DAW to stream? No, you don't. Most of what I do, so for me, I'm running the X32. I'm running XLR outs for my digital snake that go into my ATEM TV Studio HD, which is just a video switcher that takes XLR inputs. A lot of people are running the ATEM Mini. That's a very common video switcher. And so they can just take an output, say 5 and 6 from their console on the auxiliary outside, and they run it in. Or you can do kind of a version of what I'm doing here tonight, which is just take your console and run out USB, and then you can run into OBS. So I'm using OBS to stream here tonight. And so you can go across USB. But do you need a DAW? No, you don't. You don't need a DAW. Will it sound better? It could sound better. It can sound a lot better. A DAW has a lot more functionality and a lot more capability to use plugins and to really refine your sound. And there's some great people out there that are making fantastic mixes on a DAW. I've spent plenty of time in a DAW, and that's where I kind of cut my teeth on a lot of audio refinement and learning EQ and compression and things like that. But I don't use one for live streaming right now because in my current environment, it would require a second sound technician on a weekly basis. And I just don't have that. I can only afford one sound technician every week in my church. And so because of that, I'm limited to just using the console, one sound engineer, and that's it. Now, if you've got the luxury and you've got the ability to have two sound engineers, then yeah, you can put one for front of house and one for your live stream, and you've got the capability right there to have a sound engineer in the box running in a DAW, and then you've got access to all the plugins. You usually in a DAW, you're going to have pretty good stock plugins, regardless of the DAW that you're going to choose. Nowadays, in 2022, your DAWs are going to come with really good parametric EQs, really acceptable compressors, maybe even some decent reverbs and delays that you can use. And the fact that you can do groups, you can do subgroups or aux groups or mix buses, whatever you want to call them. The fact that you can do those in a DAW kind of in unlimited fashion, it's all based on the processing power of the computer. But because you can do that, man, you can build some amazing mixes. Another thing that a lot of people are using nowadays, obviously, is the vocal tuning. That's a huge piece for live streams because, let's be honest, live streams are very exposing. As a worship leader, I led probably 6 weeks ago, and I recorded myself. I multi-tracked myself, and I go back every week and I listen to the live stream anyway, but I multi-tracked myself because I wanted to use myself as a live example in a future video. So a lot of you guys know I picked up the Behringer Wing earlier in the year. I have unfortunately only spent 4 sessions on that console, and that got me to a basic mix and basic routing. So I haven't spent enough time on it, but I had another guy here at the church recently that kind of got energized when I was telling him about the Wing, and he said, man, we got to spend some time on it. We got to figure it out. So that console does come with vocal pitch correction, whatever you want to call it. It's not auto-tune, but it has pitch correction built into it. And so that's a fantastic tool that I'm looking forward to be able to use because I would love to get that console in-house for the fact that it has vocal tuning in it. My vocalists sing great. They sound great. In the room always feels good. And then when you listen on a live stream, you're kind of like, ooh, that's a little flat, or wow, it's a little pitchy there. And that's just the nature of a live instrument, a dynamic instrument of the voice. And so we want to make sure that we can capture that and really make it clean, make it good representation of what we're doing. And then it also showcases, not in a masking type of way, but it showcases the what your vocalists are putting out and puts them in a light that is very positive. There's a lot of other people that have talked about kind of the usage of those tools in the worship environment, so I'm not going to kind of rehash all of those, but it is a good thing to look into. All right, so cool collected. I hope that helped you figure out some of what you can do. I do have a video that talks about how to take audio in your current setup, how to let's say you're using the console for front of house and for streaming like I am. If I wanted to add a DAW, I don't want to change anything else in my setup. My cabling needs to stay the same. The audio is still going to go to my video switcher the same. All I want to do is add a DAW. I've got a video that talks about how to route from the console into your DAW, from your DAW back into the console, and then out through your existing setup. And that would be a great way, kind of the next step, if you will. I will say, even earlier today, I think there's a comment in the right now that just came in earlier today about using a DAW for streaming and what's the easiest thing to do. And I said, build your mix in the console, just like you have been. But maybe instead of using the limiter or some of those kind of mastering tools in the console, send that mix, reverbs, vocal effects, all of those things, send that mix out 2-channel into your DAW, and then use your tools in the DAW to limit it and get it to a broadcast level. For me, I love using Waves plugins when I'm in the box, and the L3 multi-maximizer is kind of my favorite limiter. And so I use that thing, or the Shep's Omni-Channel is a great tool. There's a couple kind of key plugins that I go to all the time when I'm in the box. But if you take your mix from your console, just ship that 2-channel left and right into your DAW, and then do some limiting and kind of mastering in the DAW, and then send that out to your stream. I think you'll get a good product. That's kind of a real entry-level step to get there. But anyway, hope that helps out. I'm going to pull up and see if I can find one last set of questions here. And again, if you guys have anybody that's live with us, if you've got other questions, feel free to toss those into the question comment section there, and we'll get to those in just a second. But I'm going to see if I can find this one last image here. All right, let's see here if we can get this one up. Make sure I'm looking at the same thing on my side here. All right, so we've got the Behringer family at the top there. It says, okay, for stupid dumb people like me, this video shows me how I can have a separate mix by using the DAW, send to a live stream without affecting the house mix, right? And actually, this is the video that's convenient. This is a video that I was just referencing. So you see there on the right at the top, it says DAW mix to console. And so, yeah, for the Behringer family, you're exactly right. You can send this mix from your console, or you can send tracks over to the DAW, and that's not going to impact your house mix at all. So your house mix is separate. In this video, we talked about sending your raw tracks, multi-tracks across USB into the DAW, build your stream mix in the DAW, refine that mix, master that mix, and then send it back into the console to be distributed to your live stream whatever tool you're using to get your video switcher or right into some other device to get your audio out to the live stream. So that is there. That was the Behringer family. I hope that was helpful. We're going to scoot down one here. This is Thomas Osgood. Let's see what Thomas says. So I use a Midas M32C with a DL16 connected to A on the mixer, and an SD8 plugged into B on the mixer. When I record into Studio One, I don't get signal from the SD8, which is acting as channel 17 to 24. I can record 1 to 16 fine, so I'm guessing I don't have it routed right in the mixer, but he's not familiar with the routing. Okay, so in a short version, he's got inputs coming in from 2 different stage boxes. Somehow they are connected. But he's getting 1 to 16, but not 17 to 24. And so Thomas, looking at this, you want to make sure, I mentioned this earlier in this session, but you want to make sure that your inputs are also duplicated in your routing card tab. And so if I'm going to go over this other screen and see if I can pull up and share screen here with X32 edit. Let's see if this is going to work for me. It seems like nothing on that screen wants to work. All right, so that's not going to work just now. But looking at the console, you want to go to the routing screen, and assuming that all of these inputs are working in the console for your front of house mix, you want to make sure that routing and input, obviously that's working, and you want to make sure that those same settings are in the routing card tab. That way your inputs, as soon as they come into the console, are going to be shipped out across USB into that console, into the DAW, and you'll be able to record all of your channels right that way. So that's a big thing, is just making sure there's a routing. I did a video on the routing tab, and when you look at the routing tab, it's kind of interesting because the first tab says input, and that's dealing with inputs. The majority of the other tabs are all based around outputs. So outputs to the card are on the card tab. AES50A is what outputs are going to AES50A. AES50B is the same thing. Then you've got one that's called outs. You've got XLR, which is what's going out your XLR, physical connections. So the majority of it is all based on outputs. That one tab is called inputs is just your input tab. So I hope that's helpful for you, Thomas. Let's see. And one last one there at the bottom from Bugs. Actually, I mentioned Bugs earlier, but he said, thanks, Dave. Really appreciate all the in-depth info you share through your many how-to videos. Keep up the great work. Thanks, Bugs. And it has been a pleasure working with you one-on-one. So again, I'm going to kind of wrap this thing up here. I appreciate everybody that's been in the comment section and here live with us. And I plan to do these a couple more times per month. I think it's just a good way to build some interaction with you guys one-on-one and also get some questions answered. And because you never know what questions other people have, and sometimes these can be a great tool for getting, maybe you're just looking for that one little tidbit that you go, that makes sense. Now I understand it. Thanks for those that were here early on and helped me get the audio actually dialed in, because this is just a new setup. Like I said, I've got a microphone that's new to me, and the live stream for me, I'm usually doing it through a console in my church through YouTube, but this is just through my MacBook here today. We're going low budget, people, low budget. But this has been fun. I hope it's been helpful to you. If it has been, like always, hit the comment and leave a comment, hit the like button. Make sure that you're subscribed, because when we put out new content, you'll be able to see that. And if you've got other questions, obviously, leave the questions. We're going to answer those. I'm always answering questions and comments and trying to help people out. If you're looking for one-on-one help, you can go to my website, which is just alamhouse.com. Click on the sound button. That'll take you to the sound website. And if you fill out the contact card, that allows us to start a conversation outside of YouTube. And we can talk one-on-one about your situation, your needs, and jump on a call and get you squared away. Well, listen, thanks so much for hanging out for a little bit with me tonight on a Thursday night. I hope that we will catch you guys soon. Talk to you in the comments section. And that's going to be it for now. Peace.